Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is SatNav37 and today I am going to be going through with you my first experience in the iRacing Mercedes W12. So this got released at the start of Season 1, I believe, iRacing 2022. And a few weeks ago, they announced the iRacing Grand Prix Tour, which essentially is a series which follows the real-life F1 schedule. So on every race weekend, there will be a full-length race in the Mercedes W12. There is a fixed series and also an open series. So this is the fixed series. So this weekend in particular was Imola. So a full 63 lap race of Imola. So if the service has the tracks, it will use those tracks. If not, it will use other tracks. So for example, in Miami, they're going to use Sebring, which should be an experience in these cars for sure. But yeah, so this was my my first experience in a long race. I bought the car the day before, had a few laps in it, but then decided to go full in and do a full 63 lap race. Did some practice laps before, but here we go, and I'm just going to do my first and only timed lap, as obviously the battery will run out, because you only get two laps to qualify in iRacing. So he's hurtled down the main straight. We come into Tamburello, down to 4th gear, try and carry all the speed that we can, and we approach the Villeneuve chicane. Now these cars, they just grip. There's so much grip, and then when you think they don't have any more grip, they still grip. It's fantastic as we go down into 3rd for the Tosa hairpin. These cars, I've played my fair share of F1 games as we swing round Piratella and go into possibly one of the hardest parts of the circuit, Acqua Minerale, as you try to keep momentum and don't lose the rear end, because that is very, very possible. And then we come into probably my worst part of the circuit, Variante Alta, horrible chicane. I just couldn't get it right all race long, but we managed to make it through as we go down to Ravazza 1 and 2, and that's the DRS detection. So obviously in quali you will get DRS, but in the race that is, if you're not within 1 second, then you don't get DRS. And we come to the start-finish straight, and we get, what do we get? I think it was a 1:16.3, which is 8th there, but I think I actually started 18th in the race, which you know, I wasn't particularly fast. It was just more to do the whole experience of the race. And just for reference, I hadn't actually done a practice start, so that was probably a stupid thing to not do. But here we are anyway, as we come to 63 laps of the Imola circuit, as we get a really awful start. We kind of go to the right. I don't see the guy coming to my right, and that was a bit on me, to be honest. Hopefully didn't crush him. As we have a bit of a front wing in front of us, trying to avoid the two cars in front. We see some chaos to the left. There's 3 cars out, and the blue car just kind of stops in the middle of the track. And I get a 4X, as we see actually in the picture-in-picture. I just manage to avoid him with my front wing, but then clip him with my rear tyre, and then he spins round and loses his rear wing, which is unfortunate for both me and him. But we managed to live another day as we do our first lap around the circuit, as we get it all a bit out of shape there, unfortunately, into Acqua Minerale. And I think we just managed to keep this place just for the moment. But as I said, this was my first proper experience, as I just get a bit spooked in the rearview mirror with that guy just behind us. So I was not going to be fast by any stretch at all. My goal was to firstly not spin throughout this whole experience and not crash out. Those are my only 2 requirements. Is the guy in front of us pit? He must have had some kind of damage, and that was just something that I wanted to do. I just wanted to do this for myself. I wasn't doing it for the safety, wasn't doing it for the iRacing. We see 2 cars just in the wall past Tamburello. As we see here, the guy in front actually brakes very, very early. The guy behind him loses a wheel, can't brake, and then they are both going to be towing to the pits as another person there just comes out of Villeneuve and loses it a little bit. But this race was a ton of fun. The car is a ton of fun. Like I said, I've played my fair share of F1 games, and you kind of get accustomed to how the F1 games make the F1 cars feel, and this is a world of difference. The force feedback obviously in iRacing is far superior to the Codemasters F1 games. You can feel bumps, you can feel when the tyres are losing grip. You can just feel the road. It's a really hard thing to try and describe as we go a little bit off track there, but we managed to keep it facing in the correct way. But this car is very engaging to drive. I mean, I'm no professional sim racer, but it feels easy to drive, which sounds stupid because it's an F1 car, but it does feel great to drive. So these next few laps were pretty just following other cars really. There were some opportunities to gain places, mainly out of the Tosa hairpin, where there were several instances of people spinning or people colliding with each other. As you see the yellow flag, and I'm rubbing my hands together with glee to see that, which is always good. And then we get this out of Piratella going into Acqua Minerale, where load of smoke, and I think I checked the replay, and that guy does in fact save it, which is good work from him. So yeah, like I said, not much happens, but we are now coming up to lap 41, where I pit. So I started on mediums, and then go to the softs, as we don't get the quickest pit entry, but I was just making sure that I didn't want to get a penalty. So no fuel needs to be added because it's the fixed. You don't add fuel. All you do is get to pit box. As you see here, I thought I overshoot it, but I don't, and I get the soft tyres on. So the only thing you can change is the brake bias, and that's pretty much it. You can't change ERS mode. It's all on balance for the whole race, so no overtake mode or anything. As we come out the pits and we see one guy out in front of us, and also just in front of us are, I think that's P10 and P11. So I am in my first experience on low fuel with soft tyres, just getting to grips with it, and you can see that I'm turning in where I was on the mediums, and I am cutting in too much. These tyres have huge amounts of grip, and I notice the guy in front has white walled tyres, so they're on the hards. So I would assume that they start on the hards, but I don't know for certain. But basically, these softs are insane. There's so much grip. Obviously, what I've got to do is I've got to try and use the grip to get past these guys, but I can get a much better exit out with Variante Alta. And this is the first time, I think, in the race that I actually got DRS off a car that I was following. So the detection point just before Ravazza 1, and we come up Ravazza 2. We get a pretty good drive, and there we go. The light on the wheel comes up. Press the button, Bob's your uncle, there's DRS, and we make our actual first on-track overtake, which on lap, was that 43? Better late than never, as we make light work of that chap, and then we only have this guy in front of us, quite close in front of us, so we can hopefully, as long as we can stay within a second, we can make a pass. So this was quite exciting because I wasn't really in any position to be racing people previously in the race. I mean, obviously lap 1 and 2, that's kind of an anomaly really. That doesn't really count as such, but this is at the actual first on-track battles I've had where I'm actually making passing attempts. So as we kind of get just a little bit out of shape there in Variante Alta, like I said, I wasn't really vibing with that much all race, but we just managed to stay within about half a second of the guy in front. I don't get the best exit out of Ravazza 1, so that loses me time, but Ravazza 2 is pretty good. He is just under half a second in front of me. DRS on, and we hurtle down the main straight. We are just side by side, and into the braking zone we are just in front. So there it is. That is us up into P8, I believe, at this point. And there we go. A couple of on-track overtakes made. And there we go. But this car is fantastic. It's just a shame that for the most part you've got to be Class A, A license in iRacing. But, you know, this thing is mega fast. I wouldn't imagine that many people... I think it's the right thing to do. You know, you don't want to have something this fast in C class. So I think having it in A class is pretty smart. I mean, obviously, the only difference with this iRacing Grand Prix Tour is that you need to be, I think it's C class, to be able to do this series. And, you know, it's only once anytime it's a race in the F1 calendar, so it's not very regular. I did this more for the experience. Like I said, I didn't do this to get safety rating. I mean, as you can see, I think I actually have 15 incidents, and those 11 are off tracks, and that 4X at the start of the race, which was just super unfortunate. But, you know, is what it is. If I'd have got 2 more off tracks, that would have been a drive-through, I believe. And I think at 25 you get a disqualification, but 15 was more than I wanted. But, you know, for the first time I do a long race, was pretty decent. As we get the white flag. This is our last lap of the race. We've actually been lapped by the leader. The leader was just insanely fast. No chance in getting anywhere near him or some of the other guys. The guy in 7th, I think, actually had a drive-through for track limits, so he obviously got at least a 17x. And a few laps ago, I believe, came out just in front of me. But he was much too fast for me. But yeah, this is as we come through the sort of last half of the track. This was a great experience. Now, I think this is maybe something I do once per F1 weekend. I don't think I do this multiple times because there's too many chances to spin lots, which will negatively affect your IR and SR, get binned, and waste a lot of time with doing too many of these races because, you know, they're long. It was a good what was that, hour and 20 minutes that I've just done on this. But as we come through the last corner onto the final straight, and man, no spins at all. We come through in 8th place, starting from 18th, which I think was pretty decent. Just kept it on the track. It was just so much fun. I mean, I think when I get to A class, I will probably do a few of these. But until then, this will have to do. This car is so much fun. Very, very fun. Really enjoyed it. I would recommend to anyone who has a bit of iRacing open wheeler experience to try them. Obviously, they're, you know, the bigger brothers of the IR04, the F3, the F3.5. I've not tried the Indy cars, so I can't really compare. But for someone who's been playing the F1 games for a long, long time, this is just an unbelievable difference. A positive one, a massive positive one. I can actually, I will be the first to say that I'm not the best F1 game racer. I sometimes feel that the way the cars handle don't give an accurate representation of what maybe an F1 car should feel like. I know they are aimed at a sort of more casual audience, and obviously with the controllers in mind, but for someone who has a wheel, these cars make sense to me. I feel like I can drive them with purpose, and they make sense. And honestly, I will definitely do the next one that I am available to do. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and give you a little insight into the Mercedes W12. And I'm really glad that iRacing and Mercedes worked together to bring this car to the service. Really, really enjoyed my time as we pull up. And just going to get to the results screen very shortly. Not that it matters massively. So I finished in 8th place and gained 0.62 safety rating and 50 iRating. But there we go. Thank you very much, everybody. Please do like and subscribe. I'll catch you all on the next one. Cheers.